May I ask you one question? If you're not stopper, how can I ask you?
But do you think the image of Western women, and when I say Western, I mean other European countries like England and America, do you think the image is that the girls are more easy?
No, this is wrong.
But Turkish women don't get this trouble, do they?
Well, Turkey is different, you know, in Turkey are different religious. You know, in Turkish women is not so like with free, like Europe women. In Turkish women, they sleep with men, they have no chance to marry again in Turkey.
So you're saying because it's not easy for you to have sex with
For
Turkish girls unless you
yes.
are married,
This is difficult.
it
because,
makes you frustrated.
yes, if you make sex direct girl, you must getting married. You must. But if you make sex for Europe girl, we are free.
Später? Heute Abend. Okay. Tschüss. Tschüss.
The real hassles come when the girls are travelling on the cheap, where the pennies have to be counted, and they end up sleeping out or in the more basic guest houses. But despite the problems, there are more and more women on the road in the 90s than ever before. So why do you travel alone?
My coffee. Alone, it's easier. You decide on the spur of the moment what you want to do, when you want to do it, without consulting anybody. That's the main advantages, yeah.
Doesn't it cause problems? Especially being blonde, blue-eyed, tall, you know, all the things that are strange.
No, well, I mean, if anybody does hassle me, then my husband's around the corner waiting for me. And
Is that why you wear the ring?
yeah, one of my friends gave it to me and said, take care of yourself. No, this is my little protection band.
I had a man screaming after me in the street, and I could see him out of the corner of my eye coming with his arms through, like touching my chest, and I just off. And he got really angry and stood there screaming after me and got really offended and angry because I got angry that he touched my tits. I had no reason to be angry.
It's like you never say you're travelling by yourself to strange men from different countries. Otherwise, they just pounce on you. I found that out the hard way.
You feel kind of paranoid about it. It doesn't cut you off from the experience and the pleasure of actually travelling.
No, of course not, no. If it did that, then I'd probably have to go and find myself a man to travel with. But that's the one thing I decided when I left home, and I sort of a big, I don't know, boost for me to prove that I can do it by myself and I don't need anybody else to hold my hand and take me through countries. I've got a lot of male friends that have done it, so why can't I do it?
Yeah.
It's a great way to build up your own self-esteem and make you a lot stronger.
This is no longer the Kool-Aid acid dream trail I wandered down in the 60s and 70s. Then there weren't even roads in some of these places. Now there's tourists everywhere, but still it's the only way to go. The word's out this year that Butterfly Valley is the place to visit, accessible only by boat. A small beach a few miles down the coast from all the umbrellas, a 90s hippie haunt that Michaela heard about back in Prague.
Especially single women make contact.
In 90s terms, Butterfly Valley may not be the trendiest of places, but it scores high on the traveller's card as a great place just to lie about.
My mum came here about 2 years ago, and she came back ranting and raving about how beautiful it was.
Your mum was here?
Yeah.
She's a bit of an old hippie, is she, or something?
Well, yeah.
It's great that your mum should be here before you.
I was here last year. I spent the whole year just bumming around, and then
bumming around?
Bumming around.
That's a 60s word.
Well, whatever.
Well, what does it mean, bumming around? To you, anyway, in the 90s?
It's bumming around. I mean, it's kind of just, I mean, you're just going to places and having a look. Yeah, you're just having, it doesn't mean I'm out on some mission to learn the meaning of life or anything. I mean, Yeah, you're just going to have a look.
in England, you know.
Yeah, just kind of enjoying yourself wherever you happen to be. And, I mean, this is a bit touristy. I mean, it's nice once in a while. You can kind of have a bit of a party and things, but
It takes the form of that.
it takes the form of that very often. But you know, other times I'd rather go somewhere where there's not so many people. You know, the more obscure countries, and well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and not see other Westerners for a while. I mean, it's going to have to end soon. We've got to go and get educated and things like that.
Michaela's drifting a bit too, just travelling for a while, looking, learning, pushing herself to the limits as a single woman on the road alone. Do you hitchhike a lot?
Yeah, well, until I got to Turkey, I was travelling principally by hitchhiking.
Doesn't it worry you, hitching?
Yeah, it worries me, but I mean, the kind of adventures that you can have, it makes it so worthwhile.
You're fairly casual about it, but what are the dangers as a single woman?
I mean, as soon as you're in somebody else's car, you're totally at their mercy. I mean, what is more dangerous than putting your life in the hands of a complete stranger? You know, I had one bad experience, and that was because I was in a bad position. I was getting pissed off. I wanted to find somewhere better to hitch, and that's when I knew I shouldn't have got in this car. I mean, he just came on to me very strongly and started groping me, I suppose. And I lit a cigarette. That was my weapon. And so, because he was here and he was driving, and his hand kept creeping over further, and just, you know, the stronger he was getting and more forceful he was getting, I had the idea that I'd burn him with my cigarette. I don't know if it would have worked in practice, but in the end he let me out on a highway a million miles from anywhere, which is a danger in itself too.
So why do you do it?
Because when, you know, by having that faith in humanity, when you're rewarded positively, it's just so, it's the most exhilarating experience, you know, to realise, you know, people, if you trust people, people aren't going to betray that trust. It's just like best feeling, you know, such empowerment that I can, you know, I don't need a guy or another friend or whatever to go with me. I can do it by myself, and yeah.
Only a few miles away down the coast, Anthea's hard at work in the kitchen of her restaurant. She's a backpack pioneer, an English woman who first came out here in the early 60s. She must be one of the first female travellers to hitch by herself across Turkey. She met Bob, a Turkish airman, fell in love, found a beach, and they've been here ever since. Here you are now running a kind of, well, it's more a tourist place than a travellers' camp. What's the difference between the overland travellers of the 60s and the travellers of today?
I was one of the first backpackers in Europe, and in those days we were very polite, you see. We always carried a couple of packets of cigarettes and some mints and all sorts of things with you, and you didn't kind of put your hand out right like that. You kind of stood nice on the side of the road and waited, and you were always picked up. And, you know, there was a nice kind of conversation between you and your host, and you tried to talk in the language of the country that you were in. And it was very civilised type of backpacking. It was very fashionable going to India in those days. You had all these young people straight out of Eton and kind of rather smart, large cars kind of travelling through. Some of them had a child, some of them didn't. And then you had the middle-aged who just retired, and they were also driving through to India, so there was a lot of traffic.
And then you had the hippies, of course.
And then, of course, you had the hippies, real bohemians. I mean, people walk about with guitars now, but I don't know quite how to play them so well.
Was it more dangerous in the 60s than it is now? I mean, everyone says, especially the girls, that it's actually quite dangerous to hitch. I mean, is it...
No, I wouldn't say it is, not in Turkey, because it depends what you're dressed like. If you dress very sensibly and you kind of sit sensibly and things like that, you don't have problems.
So you have no regrets, really, as
No.
a retired backpacker?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I definitely feel like going on the road again, actually. The real time to travel is when you're over 50, don't you think so?